काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में परलय हो गई, बहुरी करोगे कब कबीरा, बहुरी करोगे कब। काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में परलय हो गई, बहुरी करोगे कब कबीरा, बहुरी करोगे कब। The title for this doha: tomorrow's work, do it today. काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब. Tomorrow's work to today, today's work now. पल में परलय हो गई, बहुरी करोगे कब. If this moment is lost, how will the work be done? Very famous doha. You've often heard people singing it. Very practical message Kabir ji gives here. Now, what perhaps we should look at it is the doha is talking about the capacity to adapt action to obligation. How can we adapt action to obligation, and what are those elements, or what are the reasons why one abandons one's obligatory duty? So when we talk of an obligation, obligation is talking of a certain actions where you do not have a choice. You can't abandon them. It becomes, you're bound to do it. It becomes your duty. But yet, many of us, a lot of times, find ourselves not doing what we ought to do at the time it ought to be done. In fact, the famous words of Thomas Huxley, he says, the most valuable result of all education is the capacity to do something you ought to do, when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. The most valuable result of all education, and you're all well educated, we all are educated, aren't we? But he measures education in this sense, the capacity, he says, the most valuable result of all education is the capacity to do something you ought to do, when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It's the first thing that ought to be learned. But however early a man's training begins, it's probably the last thing he learns thoroughly. I'm quoting him. So many a time, we end up not doing what we ought to do because we had to find out why we don't do what we ought to do. That's why I'm saying the doha perhaps gives an implication that we should learn to adapt action to obligation. So what are the reasons one abandons one's duty? Now, directly the mantra, oh, sorry, the Doha keeps talking mantra of the verse, but the Doha here, every day you do a different text back to back, you'll know what it is. Because, each day you're trying a different frequency. One day is an Upanishad class is a different frequency. Bhagavad Gita is a different frequency. And Doha is a different frequency. So no doubt the subject matter is the same, but yet you have to really attune to the author. So that's the slight adjustment. So the reasons why one abandons the duty is one primary reason in the context of the Doha is procrastination. Procrastination is to, in simple colloquial language, if you're familiar with Tamil, you say pakla. If you're Hindi, zarur dekhenge, karenge. Telugu lo chestamu. How will a Gujarati say, RPG?
Well, typically we say Joysu.
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 Joysu. So Joysu, Joysu.
Joysu.
So that is nothing but, what is Joysu?
We'll see.
Correct. We will see attitude. Pakla attitude. Dekhenge attitude. That is nothing but personification of tamas. So one of the reasons why one does not adopt action to obligation. Now, obligation is things, again, go back to Thomas Huxley. You have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. So procrastination. The action becomes irrelevant when it is not done at the right time, isn't it? And all of us have a certain, a lot of tamas. So unknowingly, tamas creeps in and you never end up doing the right things at the right time. So it is being conscious of that aspect in you, that this may delay or this may become an impediment in adopting action to obligation. The second reason we take from the quote of Thomas Huxley is because you operate on your likes and dislikes, you operate on the mind, you disregard what you know it is the right thing, but yet you are not able to do it. I know, yes, I need to exercise. I know I should not eat sweets. I know I got to do this. I very well know that I should not do that. But what? It is your mind that plays tricks with you and then overpowers you, and then you're not able to give yourself the necessary impetus, not give yourself the enough conviction to do what's the right thing. So the power of the likes and dislikes, the current, the strong current of the likes and dislikes, draw you away from what you have to do. So the understanding here is the obligation is the right action. Operating on your likes and dislikes is a wrong act. If you're acting on your likes and dislikes or your impulses or your feelings, what you like to do may not be what you ought to do in life. Remember that. Now, that does not mean you start doing what you dislike. Don't do that and get into trouble. Now, the complete statement, what you like to do may not be what you ought to do in life, but that does not mean you end up doing what you dislike. So when we are told don't act on likes and dislikes, it doesn't mean you start doing the opposite. If you dislike something, you do the opposite. If you dislike berry juice, you should have what? What is it you're having, Kashish?
I'm drinking water, Guruji.
Oh,
But
I thought you're drinking conditioned water.
conditioned water.
Yeah. What is Coke? Water conditioned with some impurities.
Oh, I see.
We philosophize everything, don't worry. But that we only do that for 1 or 15 minutes. After that, we become normal human beings. Correct, Rajima? Huh? Or you say, who are you the person who philosophized, or are you the person who is not philosophizing now? So they all are confused. Correct, Gayatri? Correct, yo. I need to do serious correction now. So acting on, when we're told not to act on likes and dislikes, it doesn't mean you tend to do the opposite. What it only means is at every impulse, whenever your mind entertains or presents itself with a like or a dislike, just rationalize it and ensure that same action is not prompted by the like or the dislike, but the same action is prompted by the intellect. I hope you understand what I'm saying. You know, just because I like to eat mangoes, it doesn't mean I go on eating. So when I say don't act on likes and dislikes, if I like mango, it doesn't mean you should not eat mango the whole mango season, frustrate yourself. In the name of Vedanta, you are frustrating because you are told not to act on likes and dislikes, and the entire mango season you hadn't a single mango. And all the frustration you'll show on me. Guruji, you only told not to eat, not to do this. Therefore, I'm doing this, and see what is the state. I've become frustrated, suppressed, repressed. And every like and dislike, if you start dealing it that way, it suffocates you. You know, it becomes, you get choked up. And that's not what it is. But whenever the mind entertains, let the intellect run parallel along with it. It's like the two tracks. The intellect is one track and the mind is another track. So the intellect is all the while along the mind, keeping a check so that the mind doesn't go astray and you have no control over it. Because the difficulty in dealing the difficulty with the mind is you never know when it goes out of control. Right now, your mind could be very much in the class, what's going on, what's transpiring now. But if you relax, if you lost your alertness, your mind will instantly slip from the present happening, isn't it? It'll instantly go to something else. Why does it happen? Because you have not been alert during that moment. Exactly the same way. Whatever your mind likes, whatever your mind dislikes, never mind. Let it be scrutinized by the intellect every step of the way. Just because you like it, don't overdo it. Just because you dislike it, don't reject it. Perhaps you may don't want to do something. That's all right, acceptable. But let your intellect say so, not your mind. That's the second reason why you don't adapt action to obligation. The third is you undertake work without assessing your own capacity. So you are unintelligent. You have not thought well over. So you take up. So you're not able to prioritize your work. It happens to all of us, isn't it? So it's important to assess your capacity and prioritize work based on importance and priorities. In fact, to take up work beyond your capacity is said to be a rajasic quality. In the 14th chapter, 12th mantra, 12th verse, he talks of it. You should fall back on it and refer to it. The 14th chapter, 12th verse, it talks of undertaking a work. And the sattvic quality is where you take up work with an attitude of relinquishment, an attitude of renunciation. He says, when you take up work without any egoistic attitude, he says, arambha parityagi, sarva arambha parityagi, relinquisher of all undertakings. That doesn't mean you've renounced taking up action, but having taken up action, there is no bondage to action. So you just do action when it ought to be done, but there is no appendages. There's no, you don't cling on to the action. So that's how one should adopt action. So during the course of the day, let's say you're performing 100 actions. How many actions are done on the intellect and done on the mind? You should be able to differentiate. You should have an idea. Then you know whether your life is in your control or is it not under your control. So the Doha is saying tomorrow's work today, today's work now. If this moment is lost, how will the work be done? If this moment is lost, when do you lose this moment? See, what he's trying to say is this opportunity of life we have today, you don't know what you have done to deserve it. And not to optimize it for your own upliftment, your own development. This moment may not come tomorrow. Considering what you have done to come to this point, even to take in the context of this current opportunity where we have to connect with this knowledge, with the Guru, with the scriptures, to be in association of the satsang. Now, am I doing everything possible to optimize this opportunity to encash this knowledge for my own spiritual development? Am I doing everything possible to do so that I nurture? It's like you've planted the seed, but you're not watering, you're not nurturing. How will that seed sprout or grow? It will not grow, isn't it? But this association we have, this opportunity you have, am I doing whatever I can to evolve? You know, you go back, when I go back to my initial days in the ashram, close to over 25 years ago, when I spent the time there, I was just 16 when I was there. From 16 to 20, I was there. I always think to myself, I wish I can get those years now. And if I can do the same course with my mental, intellectual capacity I have today, and recast that same experience today with my mental capacity, how would I be? What would I be? Where would I become? It's just not that I have abused that opportunity, not that I did not optimize it, but I wish if I was better prepared, I could so truly embrace it and completely transform myself far better than what I did then. Wouldn't you look back at your own life and said, I wish I took those steps. I wish I did those right things at that time. So I've lost that opportunity and I would never ever get back that opportunity. पल में परलय हो गई. Things have changed. It's not something I can do. Bahuri karoge kab. So that element of taking things for granted, he's saying, do not take things for granted. There's no guarantee I am there tomorrow. There's no guarantee this satsang will go on. There's nothing guaranteed. You've taken it for granted. Ah, yes, sir, you're coming and talking. I'm sitting and listening. I'm scribbling some notes. You are saying many things. My notes are piling up. I know. And then what after that? I do not know. Yes, Harish. Harish sent me some wise words. Harish, can you hear us?
Yes, Hariom Guruji, can you hear me?
Block Harish. Kashish, he has broken that rule which has been passed.
Yeah, he said not to greet you, right?
What punishment to give him now?
I don't know.
Don't know. You should tell what punishment your uncle deserves. This is the chance of taking all that what uncle punished you. You can take it with revenge now.
No, there's nothing to take revenge. He never punished me.
I'm with you. Don't worry on that. Don't have to be so sweet. You can feel free. I know Harish is too sweet. You can't get angry at him. I don't know what's happening. Where are you? We lost your video, Harish.
I'm trying to figure that out myself, Guruji. Sorry, please bear with me.
No problem. Okay, never mind the video.
Yes.
You said something just now.
Yes. We go into a constant regret of the past when we look back as would have, could have, should have. This is a constant thing that plays into our mind. It rewinds it constantly. Would have, could have, should have. Because we realize looking back how much opportunity of life we procrastinated and wasted, and how much better we could have done it had we known now what we knew then, but we had no knowledge. We were so ignorant at that time. So there's a constant would have, should have, could have syndrome going on all the time in our head playing when we experience sorrow or regret at the current stage.
Correct. No, very well said. That's why that's what we don't realize, isn't it? So the question is, am I repeating the same mistake or would have, could have, should have even now? In fact, we are. That's what it may be happening at a different level, a different degree, which you will realize it 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road. I wish I did that, man. Come on. How can I not do that? And you feel so sinful and remorseful. So it's not that you're not being genuine. You are very genuine, but he's only saying there's so much potential. You're not, if you adapt this principle, you become conscious, you can tap that potential you have and optimize what opportunity you have. And we don't realize that potential. So the importance of this opportunity is what is being said. It's like a lady came up to the husband and wife. They were very ardent, long devotees of a Swami. And the lady used to follow Swami's teachings. The husband, many a time they have no choice. If the lady decides, the husband has to follow. So he also used to tag along whenever the wife used to say things. But he had a great respect for the Swami, but he never followed his teachings as such. But 20, 25, 30 years, they have known the Swami and associated with the institution. One day, the gentleman took the courage to tell Swami, Swamiji, you are a devotee. Your student is very, very sincere. I have not seen a sincere lady and devotee like her in my life. Swami asked, how is it you say that you're so sincere? Religiously, Guruji, Swamiji, every day she puts the alarm at 4 o'clock. Every day she gets up, switches off, goes back to sleep. For 30 years, I'm experiencing this. I get up every day because she puts her alarm and she says, I'm going to get up tomorrow. I will do it. And this has been going on for the past 30 years. I have not seen a single day she gets up and reads. But she's going on. Hope that I'll get it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it. Every day she gets up. I said, why are you doing it? No, I've been told to do it. The Swami and the husband were laughing. They were in splits. This is the kind of it. Am I clinching the moment now? This moment is gone. You will not get it. You don't understand. There may be no tomorrow. I don't know. I'm able to highlight the gravity of the problem. The problem is so intense. It's a sheer tamas in me that I can't highlight the complex situation or the gravity of the problem. And it's your tamas if you can't relate to. So both our tamas put together is colossal tamas we all are in. None of us understand what is this opportunity, what is this we have done to deserve, what is the master saying. None of us understand. Yet we are satisfied. Oh, bah, one more dua finished. Let's move on to the next dua. I only can surrender now to Ramji and say, please, can you put it in any wiser words so we all get the message? I am not getting the message, sir. If I don't get it, how can I communicate?
No, sir. I think you have really explained it very well.
I know you always have this art of pleasing people and keep making them feel comfortable.
No. But I think there is no better way to explain this than for people to act and enjoy the pleasure of action. It is many times that I mean, among the three reasons, I think most of the times it is the second reason which operates, that we operate on likes and dislikes. That is the one which actually is the most dominating reason, because of which we tend to procrastinate. It may be also sometimes that the duty is difficult to do, so you tend to also postpone because you don't want to exert yourself right now, and then you keep thinking that I will do it tomorrow. And I'm right now experiencing it in our Sanskrit classes, that we have to do a lot of exercise every day, and that vibhaktis, we can't get a hold of them. And then we're supposed to practice for 2 hours every day, and we keep postponing it. So I think it is not because it is procrastination or likes or dislikes, but it is more because it is difficult. So one has to apply mind, one has to really sit on it and then spend a lot of time on that. So you postpone with the hope that it will become easier tomorrow, but I think that doesn't happen. So that is the way life goes on. And you
like that lady is putting alarm for 30 years. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Hope I'll get up tomorrow and study.
Yes. So So the book is getting over in Sanskrit. I was telling Guruji yesterday that give us 1 month break. We will complete all exercises before we start the next book. So he said it will never happen. So you finish exercise in the next 4 days, then we'll start the next book. So
I hope did he chant this verse to you all?
no, not this, but yeah, so it's like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Ramji.